let's talk about why more leads won't save you on your path to 100K a month and beyond. And that might be or sound like one of the most polarizing topics out there. But if you're at 30 to 50 or even 50 to 100K a month already, and every time you start thinking about wanting to grow your business to the next level, your brain automatically goes to, how do I get more leads? Then I got bad news for you, but it's probably bad news that you're already aware of. And the idea of growing your business to 100K, 300K, 500K a month solely reliant on I got to get more leads isn't scaling. It's a volatile survival. Just growing your business to the multiple seven-figure level, solely reliant on I got to get more leads, I got to get more leads. That's like trying to get into great physical shape, solely reliant on I got to eat less, I got to eat less. There's a diminishing level of return at some point. Or vice versa, if you're like, the only way I'm going to get into shape is I got to be in the gym more. Instead of 1 hour workouts, I need to do 3 hours of cardio. Instead of 5 days a week, I need to do 7 days a week. With both sides, there becomes diminishing levels of return. And you know as well as I that getting into great shape is a joint effort of fitness paired with the right nutrition. And yet I see coaches all the time wanting to get to the seven-figure level and beyond, and yet they're growing their business like they're just going all extreme with nutrition, or they're going all extreme with their fitness. Healthy, sustainable businesses at the seven-figure level that are profitable, and you actually grow a business that you love, you don't grow to hate, and yet the most valuable businesses in the world. And I'm talking about the biggest companies in the world, Netflix, Verizon, AT&T, Amazon. They understand that you wouldn't grow your business to the next level without these two things: front-end acquisition and healthy LTV. By the end of this video, you're going to get two exact strategies to more sustainably grow your business to the 100K a month level and beyond, how I've helped thousands of coaches at this point get to the 6 and 7 figure level, dozens to the 7 and 8 figure level, and how I grew my own coaching business to an Inc. 5000 fastest growing company in America. And there's a couple truths you're probably starting to experience already. And that is, until you fix this one thing, you're probably realizing that the growth of your business is going to lead to burnout. That to continue to grow your business, it requires you to be like a dancing bear. The more content, the more assets, the more I post, etc., the more my business will grow, which works while it works, but it also leads to either burnout or a lot of volatility, because there'll be seasons where you're like, I just don't want to do all of that. And so it doesn't feel like your business has systematic sustainability. Or the second thing you start to realize is that the very thing that was the solution in getting your business to where it is today is starting to feel a little bit like a ceiling. What I hear from CEOs growing their business to seven figures when they get really honest with themselves is they do start to question if there's a diminishing level of return from their audience. If no matter how big they grow their audience, how many more front-end sales can I really get from my social media, from my ads, etc.? And if you're having those doubts, I get it. I've been there too. After I got my business to 50 to 100K a month, I was like, so to get to 250K a month, I have to 2 or 3x the number of leads or the number of clients I'm getting from my Instagram or Facebook or social media efforts. As much as I wanted to make that happen, I was admittedly starting to doubt if that was really possible. I wasn't truly believing this business could grow to that next level. So it's not uncommon when wanting to get to the 7 or multiple 7-figure level mark to start to question if this is going to lead to burnout. Is this really sustainable, or is this even possible? And the third thing a lot of coaches start to feel at this point is that they shift from confident in how they were growing their business to starting to feel like they're chasing. And this is when a lot of entrepreneurs start to be allured by shiny objects, because I need this to get more leads. Maybe it's this that'll get me more leads. And that leads to a business that starts to feel like I might burn out. Is this really sustainable? Do I really believe I can grow to the next level? And so if you're at 50K plus a month already, wanting to grow to 250K a month plus, and the main thought is, I guess I just have to get more leads from personal experience, you are driving headfirst into a wall. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do if you want to add 250K to $1 million or more to your business this year, without even needing to touch ads yet, definitely without needing to go build out a massive marketing content sales team, and without having to work harder, leading to a business that you end up growing to hate. And these are the exact two things that Kevin, as an online fitness coach who went from a healthy 60 to 80K a month business, but also felt stalled, felt stuck, and felt like 100K a month was a ceiling, and then installed these two things, and for 3 years straight has been at 100 to 150K a month consistently, with purely organic and high profits. And I want to be clear, this isn't saying that front-end enrollments are not important. This isn't saying front-end enrollments are not a part of the key to growing your business to the next level. But solely relying on front-end sales to grow to the next level is like believing you'll get into great shape just working out harder, but not fueling your body with the right nutrients. What I want to make sure you're doing is building a business that as you do the workout, so to speak, you have the right nutrition to fuel the entire thing to get optimal results. Let me show you the 2 ways we're going to do that. As you're probably already aware, if you were to break down in simple terms the only 3 ways to increase revenue in your business, those 3 ways are what? Number 1, get more front-end customers. So to my point, that is obviously an important part of the puzzle. But what most entrepreneurs struggle to do is balance all 3 of these focuses. The second way to increase revenue is to increase average order. And the third way to increase revenue is to get existing customers to stay longer and pay more often. This, however, focusing on these 2 will accelerate your path to $250K a month. Let me prove it to you. Okay, let's break down of the 2 ways I said you can increase your revenue much faster and more sustainably. Let's break down the first one by just getting more customers. And let's say you're used to getting 10 customers a month at $3K per package. You have a healthy $30K a month business. And you can apply whatever numbers to your business, $300K, $30K, and everywhere in between, but I think you'll still get the point. Why is this not necessarily the way I want to scale my business to the next level? Because to get to 50 to 60K a month, which is 100% growth, which is doubling my business, let's break down what that would take if I was to try and grow my business solely reliant on this. So what would I need to do if I wanted to take the jump from 30K a month to 50 to 60K a month solely reliant on this? I would need to increase the number of customers from 10 customers a month to 20 customers a month. And while that might sound fun to throw those numbers around, if you start to get honest with yourself about the belief to 100% increase your lead flow or your conversions just from your front end sales, there starts to feel like there's some doubt. Or worse, you start to feel like the growth of your business is dependent on hope and wishing. I hope I go viral. I'm wishing for more leads. And that's never a great business model or a business plan to grow your business. So let's walk through 2, what I would argue, better paths to get there. And the first path I want to walk through would be properly increasing your prices. There's a bunch of frameworks and formulas on how to think about this. I'm going to give you a couple simple ones. If I'm already used to getting 10 customers a month at $3K, and the idea of getting 20 customers a month now starts to scare me a little bit. What if I continued to actually get the same number of customers per month, but increased my price or average order to 5K? Without making it sound overly simplified, the maths, and I'm now at 50K a month with one small change. But some of you might say, if I made the jump to 5K a month, I wouldn't get this. And I actually disagree. If you follow the right framework, you'll know exactly when to raise your prices. Here's the key part though, without sacrificing closing ratio. And let me walk you through, after doing this with thousands of different online coaches, exactly how to think about price increase without sacrificing your closes. And that is, anytime over an extended period of time, more than 50% of your sales are paying in full, you statistically can afford to increase your prices and it will not compromise or sacrifice your closing ratio. Now, even as I say that, if you are a little bit nervous or a little bit doubtful about raising your prices, then here's what I also tell people that allows them to raise their prices with confidence and know that they'll still get the same number of customers they were always getting. Let me show you why. A, you always reserve the right to drop back down to your original pricing. And so what I teach coaches to do for the first 30 to 90 days after they raise their price is they can always have a case study price in their back pocket. So this way you have no excuse to be like, now I wasn't closing because of the price increase. Well, if for whatever reason they balked at the new price, you could then just drop down and say, hey, I don't do this for everybody, but when I feel like I have the right person in the right situation at the right time, and money is the only thing that's holding them back, we reserve a select number of clients that can come on as a case study client, where I can actually, instead of 5K, bring you on at, and then you can go right back to your old price if you wanted to, in exchange for you being super coachable, in exchange for like a interview style case study, and in exchange at the very end of your program for a selfie video style testimonial. Now you have no excuses to say raising your prices hurt your closings. The second thing I like to show people, though, who are a little nervous about increasing price, especially if they were used to getting a lot of paid in fulls, is how even if a customer does not pay, like they skip out on a payment, how if you do this the right way, you will still end up collecting more cash. Let's break it down. So you're used to getting 3K paid in full. And a lot of times the skepticism or the doubt is if I go to 5K, and a lot of them end up being on a payment plan, people are going to skip out on their payments. However, when done the right way, what I have found is that businesses doing this correctly will collect 90 to 95% of projected payments. Now, let's break that math down. So yes, even if you end up bringing a few more customers on at 5K and they end up skipping on a payment, you will still collect, even at just 90% collection, you'll still end up collecting $4,500. So, oh my gosh, they didn't even end up paying it all in full. You still made $1,500 more on this new price, even if the customer didn't make 100% of their payments. So with that said, what ends up happening? Total closing percentage or number of customers stays the same. Average order, in other words, how much each person that is buying is paying total, goes up significantly. And when you start to see the math of this, you start to see how it's an easier path to growing your business to the next level than just thinking, I got to go from 10 sales to 20 sales this month. This is a much easier way to make the next jump. Let's break down one more quick example to really drive that point home. Maybe you're closer to the 7-figure level already. You're used to getting 30 customers a month at that 3K price point. I'm just using that as an example for simple math. So that would mean you do on average 90K a month. You're at the 7-figure level, but you're desiring to grow to that 120 to 150K level. Well, if you're to keep price exactly the same, the jump to 120K a month now would require you to go to 40 customers a month, which if you're already at 30 customers a month, I wouldn't be surprised if you feel like even just adding 10 more front-end sales a month feels like a big jump. You might feel like you're already optimizing your sales process and extracting as many leads from your audience as you possibly can. So the jump from 30 to 40 can feel like a big jump. Well, what if the other way to get there was to actually continue getting 30 customers a month, but even just increase price to 4K? Not even the jump to 5K. 30 customers at 4K, just a 1K increase, you're now at the 120K level. So I hope you're seeing that while getting more front-end customers, of course, is a part of the business. Using the analogy I said earlier, that would be like wanting to get into shape, focusing solely on nutrition and skipping the gym now. I'm not saying it's one or the other. I'm saying the healthiest, most sustainable and scalable businesses that are both predictable and lasting, they focus equally on both, if not all three, of these pillars of increasing revenue, getting more customers, optimizing price, and now let's break down the third way to make the big jump in your business without having to spend more on ads, post more content, or get more front-end customers. Let's break down that next one. Okay, so I said we were going to break down two main strategies that Kevin used to grow from 60 to 80K a month to consistent 100 to 150K a month. The first one was optimizing price. The second one is optimizing LTV, which the most valuable companies in the world obsess over. Verizon, Amazon, ChatGPT, etc. They obsess over LTV and churn, and yet you're wondering why you're not growing to the next level. And this is an afterthought for you more times than not. Let's break down how to make sure that this is equally focused on as your front end leads. When you have a business that has equal systemization, equal focus, and equal prioritization with front end sales as it does back end sales, you have a business that is scalable and sustainable. Let me show you what that looks like. So let's say you're that example of the coach who gets 10 customers a month. We've now increased your price to $5K on average. You're a $50K a month coach, but you want to grow to the next level. Again, you could be like, I just got to get more sales. I got to get more sales. And the jump from 10 sales to 15 sales, the jump from 10 sales to 20 sales is definitely one of the paths there. But what if there was a much easier path to the next level? Let's break it down. The simpler path that is also more sustainable and more profitable is increasing how many of those customers you retain. So if you have 10 customers every month, then every 3, 4, or 6 months, depending on how long your program is, those 10 students are going to be due up for retention, or they're going to offboard and you lose that revenue. Now, if you're currently at 0 retention, you have no ascension or back-end offers, then obviously you have a big opportunity to jump even to 20% retention. 20% retention would mean you have 2 retention sales every month, right? Because 20% of 10 is 2 retention. If your front-end sale was 5K, I find most ascension or retention sales are around 12K. Now, if that number immediately shocks you and scares you, I get it. That's how most people feel at first. But right here, just increasing retention from 0 to 20%, you've added 24K in new sales per month. You have now made the jump from 50K to 75K a month without having to increase the number of leads or front-end sales that you're getting. Now you might say, I already have decent continuation. I already have decent, right? Maybe you are at 20 or 30%. Great. Well, if you jump to where many of our students who have installed the full LTV method are at, they're more at 50 to 70% retention. Let me give that to you on the lower end. If you make the jump to 50% retention, you are now retaining 5 students every month at a 12K. Some might pay higher, an ascension offer. Some might pay lower, a continuation or drop-down offer. But a 12K average retention order, you're now adding 60K a month in new sales. You were originally a 50K a month business. By just adding this system, no new ad spend, no having to go viral, not having to triple the number of posts you're putting out, going from 50 to adding 60K, you just made the jump to a 110K a month business. Let's break down a second example real quick. Let's say you were that coach more at 30 front-end sales a month, and we increased your price to that 4K number, so you were already a 120K a month business. And you could go from, I need to go from 30 front-end clients to 40 front-end clients. You could grow that way, but let's just say you started to focus on optimizing what percentage of students you retain. And let's say you went from 10% absolute retention, 20% absolute retention to 30% absolute retention. Well, 30% of the 30 clients that you're signing every month would mean you're retaining 9 students a month at the 12K price point we talked about earlier, equals an additional 108K a month in retention sales. Boom, you've now made the jump to that 200K a month level. And once again, using that analogy of getting into great physical physique requires focused fitness and dialed in nutrition. So does a multiple 7-figure business. Dialed in front-end sales and optimized retention is how you jump to the next level. Now, I have many students that are at 50% retention, 60% retention and above. You could do that math and see how that really accelerates things to the next level. So as we start to summarize here, yes, there are only 3 ways to increase your revenue. And of course, number 1 is an extremely important part of that path. But if you want a business that feels less volatile, more sustainable, and more highly profitable, you would focus on all three. And this is exactly how Kevin jumped from 60 to 80K months to 100 to 150K months. One of the playbooks that Bastian installed on his run up to 8 figures. How Alric added $240,000 in additional revenue per month to his organization. How Brian took the jump from 10K a month fitness coach to 30K a month fitness coach. And I could go on and on and on. And same thing for your business as well. That if you already have built a pretty successful business, you're at 30K, 50K, 80K, 100K a month, and you're starting to feel like, how the heck am I supposed to get to 100K a month and beyond? Or how am I supposed to get there sustainably and predictably? You do that by shifting your primary focus on front-end sales, front-end sales, front-end sales, to balancing out your focus to front-end sales with an optimized average order and above industry average LTV. And when a business has all three of those, I see them time and time again, more quickly and in a more simple way, make the jump to 7, multiple 7 figures, and even 8 figures in the online industry. And more times than not, this requires an identity shift, a way of thinking, and a new skill set to go from what's probably been online coach, online creator identity to more CEO and revenue architect. Okay, so if you're hearing this and you want to implement this into your business right away, you want to grow from the 50 to 100K a month mark to the 250 to 500K a month mark without burnout, you have 2 things you can do right now. And so if you're the coach that's done feeling like you're running a business that's a revenue revolving door, or worse, a revenue roller coaster that feels very volatile up and down, and you're intrigued to want to go from the 50K a month mark to more of the 100 to 250K a month mark and beyond, I have a couple invitations for you. Number one, you could click the link right below and it'll bring you to a full 3-part video training that breaks all of this down in more detail on exactly how to install it into your business right now. The exact delivery models, the exact sales models to increase retention, average order, and LTV. On the other hand, if you're the type of person that values speed, values implementation, wants to eliminate the guesswork, and would want to explore the idea of me and my team installing this with you, hands-on, not with a bunch of course modules, not tons of group calls, but literally me and my team, hands-on, in person, installing this with you and your team in your business for a select group of people, you can also click the link below and apply for what's called our LTV Accelerator. I say apply, and I truly mean that, because me and my team deliver this live, done with you, as close to done for you as possible. So it's not for everybody. It is definitely the right type of person. It's an investment, and your business has to be in the right place for me to look you in the eyes and say, we are going to get you results, because our results become our reputation. So if you want to go ahead and click the link below, see if you qualify, see if it makes sense for us to check this out. And then from there, we can have you apply for the LTV Accelerator. Thanks for watching. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, go ahead and do that, and I'll see you in future videos.